Welcome back, my dear friends. So in this tutorial, we are going to see loop within a loop. This is a very important concept, and there are so many problems that are based on this concept, right? And if you understand this concept, you will be able to solve a lot of problems. There are a lot of problems, even when you will do sorting of an array and you will do a lot of other problems, you will have to use loop within a loop. If you understand this concept properly, that will be a very major breakthrough in your learning journey. A lot of people don't understand loops, which we have already covered previously. If you have understood loops, now just understand how loop inside a loop works. If you understand this concept, then trust me, right? Your life will become very easy. Your DSA learning journey will become very easy. Okay, so let's understand the concept loop within loop, and I will teach you in the easiest possible manner today, right? I will teach you so that your grandma also understands loop within a loop, right? And just what I would request you, please give me your focus and attention, and please get your notebook and a pen with you and listen to each and every word that I say carefully, because I really want you to understand this concept. If you understand this concept, you will thank me later on, because it's such an amazing and important concept. Okay, you will understand how programming works behind the scenes. You will never be confused about printing star patterns and how do you sort, and so many things will be covered very easily with it, right? So I will explain you in the easiest possible manner. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, I will go very, very slow. Keep taking down notes so that it's helpful for you. It will be helpful for you if you take down notes. Okay, first of all, let's see how loop works. A single loop, right? Because we have to see the code from a different lens this time. Okay, so let's just get started. So first of all, let's see how a loop. Suppose if I write a loop for, and I say I is equals to 0, and if I say I is less than 5, and if I say I plus plus, how does this loop work, right? How does this loop work? Do you understand this? And let me also tell you how the value of I will change, right? So let's see how the value of I will change. Okay, so what happens is initially the value of I is 0, right? Initially the value of I is 0. What happens is, this is the condition. It will check, right? The loop will check if this condition is true, right? I is 0 right now, right? The I is 0. Is 0 less than 5? Yes, it is less than 5, right? So yes, this is less than 5. So what will happen is loop will be executed. All the code over here, this is the code will be executed. Whatever code is there inside these brackets will be executed. And then what happens is I plus plus happens, the increment happens, and now then I becomes 1. Got it? This is how loop works. Then again what happens is it becomes 1. It checks for this condition 1 is less than 5. Yes, it is less than 5. Again the code runs and I value is changes to I plus plus, which is it changes to 2. Again it is less than 5, right? It is less than 5. Again the code will run, right? Then the I value becomes 3. Again the code will run. Then the I value becomes 4. Again the code will run. I value becomes 5. Now at this point 5, the I value is no longer less than 5, right? This is not less than equal to, this is less than, right? So this becomes false. That means the code is not run now, and I value changes from 0 to 4, right? And over here the loop breaks, right? Loop ends, isn't it? That's how it runs. And code will run 4 times. The code ran 4 times over here. So that's how a normal for loop works. But now you would say, Akshay, we already know that. Why are you boring us with all this explanation? Because this is going to help you a lot, right? This will help you a lot. Okay, so now let us just see how things work when you have a double loop. Okay, so let's write a double loop now. So how do I write a double loop? Just see how I'm writing it. Let's write first loop. For I is equals to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. Inside this loop, I am writing another for loop. Over here, I will say j is equals to 0, j is less than 5, j plus plus. Got it? And over here, let me do console.log of, let's say, x. Okay, if I say, or let me not do a console log or something, right? Let's just say this is some piece of code. Okay, so this is some piece of code. We will see how many times this code runs. Okay, this is a loop. Now when we have written this, it's very easy to see, right? It's very easy that there is a loop within a loop. But how does it actually executes, and how does value of I and j behaves is the most important thing in this, right? How does the value of I and j behaves is the most important thing, my dear friends, over here, right? Now let us just see. Initially the value of I is 0. Initially the value of I is 0, right? Just see how this code will work, right? Initially the value of I is 0. Let me just erase it. Let me start from here, right? From the top. Here is the value of I, and here is the value of j, right? Initially the value of I is 0. Now what happens is it checks I is less than 5, right? And it runs this code, right? Now when this condition is true, I is 0, it runs this piece of code, right? It runs this piece of code. Now when it runs this piece of code, now this second loop executes. Now this loop will go on. Once this loop is finished, then this loop will again start, right? So there are 2 loops now. Now this loop will execute, this j loop. Now the j value becomes 0, right? The j value becomes 0. Now the j checks, is it less than 5? Yes, it is less than 5, j plus plus happen, the code is executed, right? The code is executed for one time, right? And then what happens, this loop, j loop keeps on running now, right? Now the j becomes 1, right? The j becomes 1. Now again the code is executed because 1 is less than 5. Now the j becomes 2. Now j becomes 2, it is still less than 5. Then what happens? Again the code is executed, right? Again the code is executed. Now j becomes 3. Again the code is executed, j becomes 4. Again the code is executed. Now as and when j becomes 5, suppose if j becomes 5, now the code is not executed because this loop ends. It ends over here in this condition, right? So that means the j value 5, the loop will not execute. Now what happens is the j loop breaks over here. The j loop breaks over here. And now as soon as the j loop breaks, what happens? Now the I value is still 0, right? The I value is still 0, isn't it? Now what happens? Now it does I plus plus, and now the I value becomes 1. As soon as the I value becomes 1, what happens is again it runs this code, right? Again this code is run, right? So the I value is 1. Now again the j becomes 0, right? Again this loop will start from scratch. This is the most important thing. This loop will again start from 0 and go till 5, right? So this loop will again go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Once this loop ends, now my I value becomes 2, right? Now my I value becomes 2. Again j loop will go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now my I value will become 3. And this goes on, and that's how things work in a double loop. So can you tell me how many times this code will be executed? Can you tell me, my dear friends, how many times this code will be executed? Sorry, let me write it down. IJ, let me not remove it. Can you tell me how many times this loop will be executed? Tell me. So this inner loop is executed 5 times every time, right? 5 times. And this outer loop is also executed 5 times, right? 5 times. So what happens is this code is run 25 times. This code will run 25 times. This code will run 25 times because the I will be 0 and j loop will run 5 times. I will be 1, j loop will run 5 times. I will be 2, j loop will run 5 times. I will be 3, j loop will run 5 times. Got it? And I will be 4, j loop will run 5 times. After that, 5 times I loop, and every time the I changes, 5 times j is running. So 5 cross 5 is equals to 25 times this loop will run. Got it? So this is how your double loop works. Now this explanation can be, can be very tricky, right? And you would see, now let me just show it to you in code, right? Let's just write, and let's use lesser numbers, right? Instead of 5, let's use 3 so that it's visible, right? So let me write a double loop for you. Let I is equals to 0. I is equals to 0. I is less than, let's say we are taking it as 3, right? And then I would say I plus plus, right? I would say I plus plus. And similarly, this is our loop. Then I will write a j loop. Here I will say let j is equals to 0, right? Let j is equals to 0. And then I would say j is less than 3. And then I would say j plus plus. Got it? Now, how many times this loop will run? This j loop will run for 3 times. This I loop will also run for 3 times. So that means 3 into 3. That means this statement console.log will run for how many times, right? Let's say I'm printing a star over here. How many times this 9 star will be printed? It will be printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. It will be printed 9 times, my dear friends. Suppose over here I want to write something like this. I is equal to, I want to check what is the value of I, right? What is the value of I? So just see what the value of I will be. If I print I, so how my I will behave? Do you see this? I is equals to 0, and let us also print j, right? Let me also print j in the same line, right? So just a moment. Now you will understand this. J is equals to plus j, right? So do you see this? Do you see what's happening now? Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Cool. So see, now I is 0, j is 0. I is 0, j is 1. I is 0, j is 2. I is 1, j is 0. How this code is getting printed? Do you understand how this code is getting printed? Right? Take a moment, pause this video right away, and then please, in your notebook, try to dry run this. Try to dry run this code. Right? Try to dry run this code. And you will understand how these value of I is behaving and j is behaving. Okay? Try to do it yourself. And then once you have done that, let's come back over here and let's, try to see it once again. Okay? So let me just, I don't know. I want to add a page over here. I'm not able to add a page. Yes, I'm able to add a page now. Cool. So I've added a page. Now, come back once again and we will see how this loop works, right? Double loop works. So again, I am, for people who have not understood, again, I will repeat the same thing because understanding this is very, very important. Trust me. If you understand this, you will solve a lot of problems, right? And then we have a loop for j is equals to 0. J is less than 3, right? J is less than 3, j plus plus. Okay. These are the loops. And over here, I will do a log, right? Let me do a console.log. And what I will print I is equals to I. Basically, I will print the value of I plus j, right? Plus j. I will print the value of I and j. Okay. So I'm writing it in a shortcut, right, I comma j, right? I'm printing log ij, and now let's see how this I and j behaves, right? So how will this work is, let's again dry run it, right? We have the value of I, we have the value of j, or maybe let's, yes, right? And over here is our console, right? This is our console. Initially the value of I is 0, right? I is 0. Now the value of j is 0, right? Now my log will happen. Now my log will happen, I and j is printed. What will be printed? 0, 0 will be printed onto the console. Got it? Now what happens is my inside loop has not finished. Inside loop will run for 3 times. J will become 1, j will become 2, j will become 3. Meanwhile, I is 0 still, right? J will become 1, j will become 2, and j will not become 3, sorry. 0, 1, 2, right? So now, and every time my code will be executed whenever my j loop runs, right? So what happens is, what will be printed on the console? 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. Got it? Now what happens, this j loop breaks, right? One execution is done. I was 0, now I will be incremented and it becomes 1. Now my j loop again will run from 0, 1, 2. Right? Again, it will run for 3 times. This time my value of I is 1. So it will be printed 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. Right? That's how it will be printed. Then my I becomes 2. Right? Now again, j loop will run 3 times and it will again print all these times. And then now what will be printed? 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2. Right? So that's how this code is executed, and you should definitely understand what's happening over here, right? You should definitely understand, see the 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2. That's how my I and j loop will behave. If you have understood this, you will understand a lot of things, my dear friends, and trust me, if you have not understood this, then you will not understand a lot of things. I would request you to pause the video right away and go back to the video, watch it once again, go back to the video, watch it once again, try to play with this code yourself, try to write this code, try to do this thing in your notebook and a pen. That is when you will understand, otherwise you won't understand this. If you have understood this, we will move ahead and we will try to see more complex things inside double loops. Okay, so you have to understand how the values of I and j are getting printed, right? So it's very, very important. Now, let me change the loop a little, right? If I change the loop a little, then see how things will behave differently. Okay, so we will see how things will behave differently. If I say for I is equals to 0, this time I'm changing how loop works, and I'm taking 3 so that it doesn't go very long, and then I will do I plus plus. So this is my first for loop. The inside for loop, I'm just changing it now. Suppose I am doing j is equals to 0. Now I say j is less than I. Now I am writing, this is the most important thing over here, j is less than I, and then I would do j plus plus, right? Let me use the yellow pen, right? Let me use the yellow pen. J plus plus, right? Now it's a beautiful thing. Now I have done a console.log of my I comma j, right? So if I do a console.log of I comma j, how will this log? Can you dry run it, my dear friends? Can you dry run it? What should be the value of I and j? How will this loop work? What will be printed onto the console? Can you just tell me? Suppose this is my console over here, right? What will be printed onto the console? Can you tell me, my dear friends, right? Amazing, right? Pause the video right away. Now we have done j is less than I. Okay, so now we will see how this loop will work. Initially, the value of I is 0. Let's see this, right? Try to do it yourself once. If you are not able to do it, then come back and we'll see, right? So I is 0, right? And then then it goes inside, right? I is 0 over here. It goes inside, and now my j loop will run. Now my j loop will run from where to where? It will run from 0 to I. What is the value of I? 0. So my j loop will not run. My j loop will not run in this case. Right now my j loop will not run, right? What happens is, now what will happen, right? Initially my j loop will not run, right? Because this condition fails, right? This code will not be executed. Now my I becomes 1. Now my I becomes 1, right? J loop will not run this time, right? Now my I becomes 1. So now it goes inside, my j loop will run from 0 to less than I. Now my j becomes 0 and j is less than I, right? I is 1. So yes, this loop will run for 1 time, right? This loop will run from 1 time. So over here, what will be printed onto the console? This is the first time console log will be printed, and what it will print? It will print the value of I and j. Now the I is 1 and the j is 0. So it will print 1, 0. Got it? Now what will happen is, now j plus plus happens. Now j becomes 1, right? The value of j becomes 1. It checks whether j is less than I. The I is 1. No, this condition fails over here, right? This condition fails. So the loop will end and it will move out, right? So basically this will not run, right? Now what happens is, this j loop has ended. Now my I becomes 2 over here. Now my I becomes 2. Now when it is 2, the j again becomes 0. Right? J 0. It will run j is less than I. Yes, it is less than I. J is less than I, 0. So now my code will be executed. Now my code will be executed. This time what is the value? 2, 0 will be printed. 2, 0 will be printed. Got it? And then what happens is, now what will happen is less than j, right? Now my j plus plus happens, j becomes 1, right? J becomes 1. Now what happens is, again console log happens, right? Console log happens at this point. So when the console log happens, so what is printed? 2 and 1, because the I value is 2, j value is 1. Now what happens is, j becomes 2. 2 is less than 2? No, it is not less than 2. So my loop breaks, right? So my loop breaks over here. So my loop breaks over here. What happens is now again I is incremented. Now the again I is incremented, right? I is incremented to 3. Now what happens? I checks 3 is less than 3? No. It will not happen, right? So the loop will end. So all the loop has now ended. My I loop has ended. The J loop has ended. And what is printed onto my console? Only these 3 lines. Okay. So let me just, if this is confusing for you, let me just change this value over here and let me just show you. If I change this to J is less than I, do you see 10 20 21? 10 20 21. That's how my code is executed. Just changing this less than I, right? Just changes this less than I. My code is executed like this, right? Let me once again, this is how you can do it slowly. But let me tell you why this happens, right? In a nutshell, let me tell you why this happens, right? So see, it's very easy to calculate sometimes. You just have to, sometimes it's very easy to calculate. How? Let me tell you. Just looking at these conditions, can you tell me, see, I will run from 0 to less than 3. That means the value of I will go from 0, 1, 2. You understood this, right? So the value of I will go from 0, 1, 2. I'm just explaining you a very easy way to understand this, right? I and J is there. So what happens to I value? It will go from 0, it will go to 1, it will go to 3, and then the loop will end. So I value will go from 0, 1, 2. Got it? So this is how my I behaves. What if my J value? So when the J value depends on I. J loop depends on, this J loop execution depends on my I. It will run I times, right? So it will start from 0, it will go to I. So the first time when the I is 0, my J loop will run from 0 to less than 0. That means it will not run. Okay, when the I value is 1, the J loop will run from 0 to less than 1. That means it will run 1 times. The J value will be 0, it will run 1 times. Now, suppose the value is, now the I value is 2. So this time the J loop will run from 0, 1. That means it will run for 2 times. Got it? So every time I'm increasing the value of I, the J loop count is getting increased, right? So this is what I wanted to show it to you. What if, let me just modify this question. What if over here instead of 3, right? For loop, let me just, let me change this question, okay? Let me just, let me just change this question. Let me change this question and then let me give you an output question once again, right? So what if I say my for loop I is equals to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. And same, for J is equals to 0, J is less than equal to I, J plus plus. If I do a less than equal to here, what will happen? Tell me. If I do a less than equal to over here, what will happen, right? What will happen, my dear friends? Tell me, if I do a less than equal to over here, let me resize it, right? If I do a less than equal to over here, what will happen, right? Less than equal to I. So how will my J and I behave, right? Let me just tell you, this is the I loop, this is the J loop. When the value of I is 0, how many times J loop will run? It will go from 0 to less than equal to I. This time, it will run for 1 times. It will run for 1 times. Why? Because it is less than equal to I. So J is 0, and if you check 0 is less than equal to 0, yes. So this loop will run once, right? So it will run 1 time. When the I value will be 1, the loop will run how many times? It will run 2 times, because the J value will become 0, and then the loop will be executed. Then the J value will become 1, and the loop will be executed. This loop will run 2 times. When the I will become 2, the loop will run 3 times. The I will become 3, the loop will run 4 times, because it will run from 0 to 3. It will run from 0 to 2. It will run from value of J will be 0 to 1, right? When the I value will be 4, the loop will run 5 times, because the J will go from 0 to 4. 0 to 4. Understood, right? So that's how my I loop will run. And I value cannot go 5, right? So I loop will run 4 times. Got it? So now how many number of times this console log will happen? The console log will happen for 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. That many number of times my my console log will happen. Okay, so this is how you can calculate. And how will the value of I and J will change? Just see that, right? When the I will be 0, 1 time, the J will also be 0. When the I will be 1, the J loop will run 2 times, the J value will become 0, and then again the J value will become 1. Right? When the I loop is 2, the J value will become 0. When the I loop is 2, J will also become 1. When the I loop is 2, they will become 2. So 3 0, 3 1, 3 2, 3 3. That's how it will work. 4 0, 4 1, 4 2, 4 3, 4 4. Right? So that's how the log will happen. That's how the log will be printed. If there is even an iota of doubt in understanding of this, please write code, please dry run it, and then understand how this code will work. You know what is very important? The important part over here is to understand how the values of I and J are behaving, right? In each iteration of this loop, how the value of I and J are behaving is very, very important, right? Suppose if I change it to 5, and if I change it to less than equal to I, just see how this loop is behaving. I is 0, J loop will run j loop will run one time. I is 1, j loop is running 2 times. I is 2, j loop is running 3 times. I is 3, j loop is running 4 times. Right? So similarly, this is how it behaves. If there is even a small doubt in understanding, please clarify it. Pause the video right away. Go back, watch the video once again. Go back, watch the video once again, because this is very, very, very important. Right? So it's very, very, very important, my dear friends. So, understanding these things are very important. Trust me. Let me make it more complex, right? Let me make it more complex. Let's add one more page over here, right? Let me make it more complex for you, right? And then I want you to dry run it. Then we will start solving problems, okay? Then we will start solving problems. So you have to tell me how many times console log will happen. I am changing it. For I is equals to 0, I is less than 3, I plus plus. Sorry, I plus plus, not j plus plus. Cool. Now this is the j loop. Now j loop will run in reverse order. Suppose if I say j is equal to I, and j will go to 0, I to 0, and I will say j minus minus. Can you dry run the code and tell me how many time log happens? How many time log happens and what will be the output in the console, right? Suppose this is the console. How the code will behave, how the value of I and j will behave. Can you tell me? Try to solve it yourself, try to do it, because if you understand this, you will be able to understand a lot of things, my dear friends. Now we are running, j is I initially, and then it will run a reverse loop, and you have to log I and j value, okay? So can you tell me? Okay, so this is interesting. It's very, very interesting. So you can make this loop, double loop, very, 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 very complex, and it runs in a very beautiful way, right? So let's see this. Suppose my I value is 0 initially, right? I value 0 initially. Now just see, my j loop runs from, my j loop will run from what? If my array, so see, if my I is 0, right? See, if my I is 0, j loop will run from 0 to greater than 0. That means j loop will not run. J loop will not run. Okay, so initially j loop will not run. My I becomes 1 now. My I becomes 1 now. So j loop will run from 1 to 0, right? 1, and then it will not go to 0, it will run 1 times, right? My I is 1, so j loop will run for 1 time, right? My j loop will have value of 1. Got it? Now what happens is 1. It will run for 1 time and it will print onto the console 1, 1. Got it? Now my I loop becomes 2. My I loop becomes 2. Now what will happen? My j loop will run from 2, the j value will be 2 initially, then the j value will become 1, 2 times this loop will run. The j value will become 2, and then the j value will become 1. So it will run for 2 times, right? And 2 times console log will happen. This time 2, 2, 2, 1. 2, 2, 2, 1. Now what will happen? I is less than 3, so I will not go further, j will not go further. So this is what the output will be. Did you understand this? Did you understand this? If you did not understand it, please try to dry run this code. Now let me give you a homework. What if I do j is less than equal to 0? This is your homework, right? What if j is less than equal to 0, right? This equal to. Then it becomes different. And you will understand how it works, right? So this is your homework. Try to do it. Pause the video, try to do it. Let's move on to another complex thing, right? Now both of the loops will be reversed, right? Now let me reverse both of the loops, right? Or maybe we will play with it, right? Let me just tell you, right? So try to dry run this code. You have to understand all these cases, my dear friends. Otherwise, it will be very tough for you. See this. I is 5. I is greater than 0. Or let me, let us, to keep things simple, let's make it I is greater than equal to, or let me make it greater than equal to. No, let's just keep it 0, greater than 0. I plus plus. Sorry, I minus minus, because this is a reverse loop, right? So I'll have to do I minus minus over here, right? And then I have my j loop. J loop will now run from, let's say, it runs from 0 to I, okay? It runs from 0 to I, less than I, and then j plus plus, okay? Just dry run it and see if you log I and j into the console, what will be the output. Can you do this? Can you do this? Try to do this yourself and then come back and watch the video. Try to do this yourself. You don't have to take a shortcut. You have to do this yourself. Then come back and let's see console, right? This is the console. And then see my answer, right? This is the console. So let's see. I is running from 5 till 0. And let's not run it from 5. Okay, let's run it from 5. Nothing, no problem with it. So let's run for 5. Okay, now how j will behave, tell me, right? The j value will go from 0 to less than I. That means 0 to 4. This j value will go from 0 to 4, right? How will they go? J will become 0. J will then loop around, j will become 1, j will become 2, j will become 3, j will become 4. When the value of I is 5. Got it? That's how the j will behave. It will run from 0 to 4. The loop will run for 5 times. And what will happen is, it will log each time. It will do a console log each time, right? It will do a console log each time. And how the value of console log will be printed? 5, 0, 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5, 4. This is how it will be printed. Now when the I becomes 4, now how many times this j loop will run? This j loop will run from 0 to 3, right? The I is 4, so the j loop will run from 0 to 3. That means the value of j will become 0, 1, 2, 3. Got it? So 0, 1, 2, 3, this is how it will print, and every time it will be printed onto the console. So the console will be 4, 0, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, right? Now what happens is my I becomes 3, right? I becomes 3. Now how many times this loop will run? It will run from 0 to 2, 0, 1, 2, right? It will run for 3 times, right? It will run from 3 times. And now the value will be 3, 0, 3, 1, 3, 2. Got it? Now the loop will run for 2 times. Now this will run from 0, 1. This will run for 2 times, right? And the value will be 2, 0, 2, 1. Got it? And then my I becomes 1. And this time my J loop will run for how many times? It will run for 1 time and J will become 1, right? So the value which will be printed will be 1 and then J will be 0, right? J will be 0. Now what happens is the I loop will end over here, and that's how my console log will be printed. Okay, got it? So how many times this will be printed? How many times it will be printed? When I was 0, this loop ran for 5 times. When I was 1, this loop ran for 4 times. When I was 2, this loop ran for 3 times. When I was 3, this loop ran for 2 times. When I was 1, this loop ran for 1 times. So 5 plus 4, 9, plus 3, 12, plus 3, 12 plus 2, 14, 1, 15. So 15 times this loop will run, and this will be the values which will be printed in the console. Got it? This is interesting. This is important to understand. And if you understand this, right, let's try to write this code and see if it works. 5, 0, and then 0 to I. So this loop, I loop is running in a reverse order. J loop is running in a different order, right? Normal order. So J is going from less than I, right? Less than I. And this loop is going in reverse, right? So if I say 5, and then I would say I minus minus. If I will say I, and this will say greater than 0, right? And I minus minus. So this is how, okay, 5 is greater than 0. Okay, I think we went to infinite loop. Oh my God, I think I went to infinite loop. My playground stopped. Let me open it once again. Cool. So let me write it down once again. Don't worry. I'll show you the output. So let's write for loop I is equals to 0. Let I is equals to 0. And then I want to write what? 5 greater than 0 minus minus. So 5, and then I is greater than 0. And then I would say I minus minus. Okay. This is my first loop. And then we have an inner loop which runs from let J is equals to I. Is it? No. So J is 0 to I. J loop will run from 0. J is less than I. And then I would say J plus plus. Okay. So that's how it will run. And then let me do a console.log of I plus space. And then I can say J. So do you see how it will be printed? So do you see this? 5, 0, 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5, 4. So it will run for 5 times. When the I is 5, the J loop will run for 5 times. When I is 4, J loop will run for 4 times. So similarly, 5, 0, 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, and all of it 15 times this loop will run. Right? This loop will run for 15 times. Do you understand this? Understanding these things are very important. Double loop is very important. Hope you would have understood it. I want to just finish this much into this video, right? In the next video, we will be talking about star patterns. We will be printing a lot of star patterns, different type of star patterns, right? I have listed down. First, we will see how we can make this kind of a star pattern. Then we will see how we can make this kind of a star pattern, how we will make this kind of a patterns. We will see a lot of patterns, this kind of a pattern. And trust me, this pattern is very amazing, right? You should know how to output this pattern, this pattern, this pattern. We will do a lot of crazy stuff. And these patterns are only possible if you understand how this double loop works. I want you to understand how this double loop works. This is a very, very easy tutorial. Try to solve it yourself on a paper and pen, just like I have solved it. That is when you will understand what's happening. Programming is easy. You are learning it wrong way if you're not understanding it. Try to do it. Try to do it in copy pen. Try to take a notebook and a pen and do it yourself. That is when you will understand it properly. Try to play with these numbers. Try to reverse this. Try to start this J loop with I and go to 0. Try to do all of it and see how the values of I and J are behaving. If you understand how the values of I and J are behaving, these patterns are a piece of cake for you, right? It's a very easy thing for you to do, right? So I am ending the video over here. In the next video, we will be printing a lot of star patterns. I want you to please go ahead and practice this double loops. If you understand double loops, then your life as a programmer will become very, very easy. And thank you so much for watching this video. I would request you, if you're liking my tutorials, if you're liking these videos, please, my dear friends, please give me a shout out on LinkedIn or on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram stories, wherever you wish to. Please give me a shout out, send me your messages, and share your knowledge with other people on social media. That's all I request you. Please do that. And thank you so much for watching these videos. And thank you so much for people who have already shared and giving me a shout out and helping me reach more people. I want to make you fall in love with programming. I want you to become a great developer. I want you to be the top 1% developers out there in market who understand how actually code works. I don't want you to memorize anything. I want you to understand the logic and you can think of the solution in your head. I want you, and I feel that anybody can code. I want you to become a very good programmer. Please keep following along with these videos. Keep learning and keep practicing. If you don't practice, nothing will happen. Your practice is very important. Okay. What a teacher wants? A teacher wants just a good student. If you are a good student, if you put efforts, then all the efforts that I am putting in making these videos will be worth it. If you are not putting efforts, then there is no point in watching these videos or making these videos. Thank you so much for watching these videos. I will see you in the next one. Namaste.